final champions, we see them rounding out. I'm a little bit worried that they won't have enough damage, and it's fairly easy to itemize against. But you know what? We'll see. CFO had a really hot start here, and if they could end PSG's dominating streak of 13 wins, that would be something to talk about for sure. But we will see if the Flying Oyster can fly high, or if they're going to be a sour shellfish by the end of this one. Let's take a look at our runes and masteries. It is the Predator Galio once again, so Mission can be a speedy boy.
I like the Predator Galio a lot more here, just because you're not really worried about getting all-ins by a rise. So Predator makes a lot more sense. Allows you to possibly gank one of these sides a lot earlier than they would expect, and that should be a really big snowballing point for the side of CFO Gemini. Walking in, trying to scout out the wars, but he does miss the one by red buff.
We've seen this one before get completely ignored. Gets one deep over the side of the red pit, so at least they can have eyes on Juhan as this one begins. I'm not entirely certain if he saw that, but apart from some ward placements, yeah, if he cares to use it.
Which, he'll probably just wipe it out.
There we go.
So he gets himself an extra 10 gold. Yeah, for PSG, it's about trying to neutralize that early game, because you know Predator Galio can hit hard early on and possibly gank one of these sides. Once you hit level 6, you're going to be a lot more comfortable playing the game, even though there's still that wombo potential coming in from a Camille Galio combination.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them try to pull that one off. It does require some coordination, and you know, we have been saying that one of the issues we're starting to see with this CFO side is they're a little reliant on getting those early leads out of laning phase, not necessarily even like ganking and even killing people early, but then just don't seem to have as much of a good time with the double engage plays. There we go. Nice catch on the taunt. Base taken very low, and Juhan is going to come forward to try and defend. They don't get the kill, but they do burn the flash for free, and that's a good start. So throw out everything I just said, Nightstar, because that was good coordination to kick things off.
Yeah, and we also missed it in the itemization, and the fact that Mission, he's just gone straight for boots. So he didn't go for Adorn's Ring or Corrupting Potion. He just went for Refillable and Tier 1 boots, just to make sure he has that Predator available to take right off the bat, and he makes the gank happen. Base forced to flash. That is massive for the side of CFO, and they'll also be able to isolate this bottom half of the map with this vertical jungle setup. So the consequences are, well, now you kind of put this Rakan on notice. You make sure this Tom Kench doesn't get punished as hard, as now they're actually looking to possibly try and dive Bay.
Gemini just holding on to the wave here. That means Bay can't rely on any minions. Good taunt. Does he have enough damage? Justice Punch in first blood. Kaiwing, what are you doing? Koala followed him all the way here, and that's going to be 2. What did you say, Nightstar? Attack the mid and jungle.
Yeah, and Bay, I mean, his positioning isn't all that bad. You just don't expect the level 3 dive to come through, right? Especially mid lane, when it is a very short lane, the minions are going to come in, and it's hard to force a dive in that situation. Now, Rest, though, if he overextends, he could get possibly caught out by Juhan, but I think he's able to sort of fake the pressure in that instance, and perhaps say, hey, I might have my own jungler coming in, and if that's the 2v2, it could go wrong because you do have Ignite onto this Camille.
That's part of the map awareness you've got to have. Of course, Rest, a very experienced player. So is Hanabi, though. Got to be a little careful there as he is starting to fall a little down in the CS. Meanwhile, let's take a look at that replay again. After the initial kill, Kaiwing goes roaming. He's spotted out by Koala, and he just gets himself pincered.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where, like, you want to roam mid to try and help out, because you see the jungler showing there, but he ends up just getting pincered because of his pathing. So really nice play coming in from CFO, and this is exactly what we wanted to see from them. We just didn't expect Mission to really control the game with this Galio pick, because against BYG, it was very underwhelming, and you could say maybe it was because it was against the Akali of Minji.
Possibly. Now we'll have to see if Shun can actually survive here. Forced to flash, but followed by Unified and Kaiwing, and they just take him out in the 2v2, and Koala should be able to walk away on the Tahm Kench. Meanwhile, got a little bit of a tussle in the jungle here as Juhan and Bay combo up. Extra damage onto Mission, wins a war, just barely dodged. Gemini going to dash forward, get some extra hits with the end of the line. Mission is a pretty speedy boy, not just because of the Predator here, Nightstar. After that kill, he spent that money on a nice pair of boots. He's got his Sork shoes already.
Sork shoes get some decent trade damage, of course, with the extra pen, and it's not going to be, of course, as helpful in just shoving out the wave because it doesn't give you AP or any of that, but it will help out in these trades, which is exactly what they are looking for. You also look at the itemization coming in from the Graves. He has a Dirk, so the trade and fighting power provided by these two in particular is very, very high.
Yeah, they're going to try to keep PSG at arm's length here as the Hextech Drake is in sight for Gemini and Koala. You do see Shun, though he does have no summoners, is holding on pretty well. Should be able to rotate up here to help take it. And a really good push established by CFO. Gold pretty much dead on even at the 2-to-1 kill score, and Koala doing a great job of zoning as they ping out Kaiwing. Should be enough to grab this dragon. It's a little bit dangerous of a game to play as Gemini has been tanking it quite a lot here, but the smite is right. So they will be able to pick up that dragon early, and the prio in mid and bot pays off for Flying Oyster.
Yeah, now Gemini in a pretty good spot, all things considered. Gets his team that dragon and gets that scuttle. A stat for the side of CFO, they are actually first when it comes to first dragon percentage, sitting at 79%. So they do prioritize that bottom side of the map, trying to get that first dragon more often than not, and that tends to be one of their win conditions. Just try and play for those 4 dragon stacks. Whereas on the flip side for PSG, they love to focus that Herald, right? So first Herald percentage for them is at 79%. So we'll look for PSG to make a play towards that area. Whereas on the flip side, CFO, they only have a 57%. So they prioritize that much, much less.
Yeah, it does. It is a little interesting to see how these two different teams operate on the sides of the map. We talked about how coming into this game, the expectation of the hope was that they try and snowball off that top side on the CFO side, but instead it's been the opposite. And you do see a pretty significant CS differential, Hanabi over the Camille, but it seems like Rest is perfectly happy to just sit there and trade tit for tat. Keep in mind, he does have the combat summoners with that Ignite Camille going in. It's going to be all about that combo, but you got to be careful. You don't want to give up the Ghost and allow PSG to take that early Herald. Juhan now rotating up that way, and Bay fully in plain vision, so this should be spotted out by Rest, but the dive may come in anyways.
Yeah, they could either look for just this blue buff or look to try and attack that top side. Of course, they do have the Realm Warp, but once Mission does pop that Predator, it makes it very easy for him to just gap close all the way towards that top lane. So
yeah,
the moment Predator does get popped, you also gain movement speed when you're moving towards enemy champions, so you can almost kind of scout things out as well, because if you're gaining move speed, it means enemy champions are somewhat near.
Yeah, he's kind of putting on his best Udyr impression, right? You know, just start running at somebody and just boogly, boogly, boogly. Hope they run away.
But now, possible attempt down bot side.
That's a 2-level differential. I don't think Mission's afraid of anything at this point. Gemini actually starting Herald with the help of Rest soon. This is in full sight, but actually with a great timing window, there's nothing PSG can do about this.
Yeah, and the side of CFO, they understand what
oh boy,
the side of PSG want to make happen is dive this bottom lane.
Yeah. Oh, good night, sweet Jinx. Shun just gets completely annihilated. Koala, though, he turns 1. Can they get more now that Mission's in, clearing the wave away? Koala trying to hang on. Great health, not a whole lot there, but they've stiff-armed Kaiwing, Bay, and Unified. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
That is a fantastic start coming in from CFO, able to trade out. They get more gold onto Gemini here. He can throw down the Rift Herald if he wants and get solo plate gold. In this setup, you want Gemini to get a lot of the gold because he is playing that Graves. And Graves, of course, one of those champions that we've seen a lot more in the solo lanes because you can get more resources. You get more access that way, but if you are just kind of given some lane EXP coming in from mid lane, that will also help considerably as well. Now, if we take a look at where things stand between the lanes, we can see Hanabi's done a very good job top side, even against an Ignite top laner. But this mid jungle, which we highlighted pregame, that's been really the shining light for CFO still.
Yeah, that's been massive right now. You see that PSG executing what looked to be a pretty solid dive down bottom to try and deny Shun even more presence in the lane, but he's managed to hold his own because they got the kill back. It did land into Koala's pockets, so it means that that gold is on the support rather than the carry. But Mission is really the one running the tables here, and he really has to. It's a very active, very global presence mission that I don't think we really got to see in the Beyond Gaming match. I don't know what he's been eating, but it's certainly doing a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like Mission's trying to take more of the shot calling role for the team here. And you look at how many times he's tried to fake pressure or actually make these roams to cover these sides. He's still up in CS, Pyra. Like, it is nuts to do this on a Galio. You're up 20 CS on Galio, and you're still just roaming insanely well.
Yeah, Mission's getting a lot done. I think he might be cheating a little bit because he's taken a bit of jungle tax, but that's okay. It still counts. Gemini's been able to make up for it in his own lane. Speaking of Gemini, he does have his Eclipse already. One of the advantages of going for that lethality build, you can get your Mythic a bit faster. And it looks like a bit of a dance kind of is turning into Koala getting collapsed on, and that is a good quickness from Kaiwing. It's only going to catch the one. Shun going to try and cover their escape here with the Flame Chompers, but Koala will still go down, and the decisive movement from PSG nets them a quick kill, should allow them to take this Drake uncontested.
Now, they'll look for Drake here, and I think Gemini, he should just look to book it straight towards that top lane because he's seen that Hanabi has made his way down here, and you can get that Rift Herald just plop down top lane and should be able to destroy that tower up top side. Mission as well, trying to cut off any early rotations or anyone trying to cut through, but it will just be them settling for this red buff. I'd still like for them to try and force their way up top side, and it looks like Gemini's just going to forego the red buff. Or actually, no, he did, I think, get the smite, so he's going to get that, but now Unified in trouble.
Okay, this is actually really good right now. Koala can take it up.
Is he in trouble?
Look at the damage he's dishing out here! Rocket going to go at point blank, but Shun has to flash the heal. Does he have the damage? Unified's going to flash away. Oh, dear. Shun couldn't get it done with Koala sacrificing, and meanwhile, CFO don't get the Herald drop.
Oh, man. I mean, Gemini, he has to put it down now because it's just about to time out.
Yeah,
but this is really massive mismanagement of resources here. Like, you had the opportunity to cash in a lot harder, but they got a little bit greedy, I think, saying, you know what, we want the full tower instead of just settling for what we can, and now you get the same amount of gold regardless, but you've done it a little bit later. And down in that bottom lane, it's just Tom Kench is not it. But
no, it's not just that.
Unified had red-white, and that's the perfect guns to try and 1v2, especially when one of them is a melee support.
Well, here's the other issue too. You shouldn't be dropping a Jinx rocket at point blank range. By the time it charges up, you do more damage with the minigun.
That can also be said as well.
A little bit of a rookie mistake there from Shun, but I mean, unfortunately, that is the outplay from the highly experienced PSG bot, and it does mean that the momentum swings a little bit. PSG get themselves in the gold lead. It is a dragon apiece. That Herald did not get nearly as much gold as they would have liked. All the same, Gemini still a pretty big threat here. Has the Serrated Dirk on top of the Eclipse now, and Rest has got his Divine Sunderer, but it is critically behind Hanabi's Triforce, so we'll see if he's going to be able to catch back up on the farm game. He has been down about 20 CS for a little while now.
And more importantly here, even with Mission doing everything he's been doing, CFO are only dead even, and this is a composition that you'd like to get snowballed early on because you do know Galio is going to drop off when it comes to the damage department. Also, just because he is running, of course, the Everfrost, more about utility coming out from this champion rather than pure damage. And for the side of PSG, yes, you might lack some magic damage yourself later on coming in from the Rise, but once you get tanky like that, there's really no way for CFO to get past this. You know, you're getting that Frozen Heart, you're getting a whole lot of armor. I don't see a large issues for the tank Rise, but there will always be concerns when I see tank Rise.
I know you've always got concerns. Like I said, it's the only champion Bay's lost on, so something must be wrong, right? You know, that's how stats work.
Yes,
another
absolutely.
Herald does go the way of CFO, though. Maybe they can get something more for it. The issue is they lose bot tower completely to a free push from Unified, and now they're going to bring Mission down there. Teleport still in his pocket, but it's not a massive edge when PSG are just playing that much better right now. And yeah, I'm curious to see where the second Rift drops, because they need to get more value out of it than they did the first.
And for the side of PSG, this is just what they do well at. It's just out-rotating the other team. CFO, this has been a clear weak point for them. It has been lane allocations and just trying to move around the map and keeping up with their opponents. So, a bit of a mismatch when it comes to styles in this mid-game. But it will be key to just try and keep track of how much PSG are able to get before, of course, that key dragon fight, which will happen either on this next one or I would expect to see on the one after.
Right. Cloud Rift, of course, going to be the one to contest for. Neither team built up a Drake stack, thanks to the swing that PSG were able to get down bot. So it does mean that we could be in for a long game when it comes to the Drakes, if one of these two teams doesn't end up snowballing it out. Pretty good vision control here for PSG down bot river. See if they're going to be able to keep that one up, but there is a big push topside from two members of CFO. If Hanabi can hold on to it, Gemini would want to drop this one and see if they can get the dive in. We haven't really seen too many Hextech ultimatums here. That's just going to be the tack sweep in the end of the line. Forces out Hanabi's flash. You have to think they're pretty happy with that, but it does open an opportunity for PSG to grab the dragon, uncontested. Timing on the roam, he dashes to safety, and we wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah, usually you do want to, of course, play towards dragon if you need to find that big team fight, but we know CFO, they love to just kind of wait for things to play out here. So they've gone ahead, given up that next dragon, and now they're going to look towards contesting the more important dragon because of just how far behind their Jinx currently is, and that is their main win condition, even though you do have this wombo combo potential of the ultimatum into Hero's Entrance.
We haven't seen it just yet, though, and if they can get the drop on, that would help. Hanabi has no flash, so that's going to be the jump in. Trying to get it flash forward. Gemini looking for it. Hanabi wanted the outplay, but Gemini blows him away. And that is going to be the end of that. Should be the Herald pop here, but maybe not, because everyone else from PSG is coming to the rescue and trying to clean things up.
Oh, the collapse is coming in pretty fast here as Juhan.
Gemini.
I mean, he's got position on to Gemini, so Gemini just... Yeah, he is definitely known.
Yeah, but
his team's
looks
here.
like the rest of the team is going to be able to cover for him. Juhan actually ends up having to pop the Crescent card to stay alive in that. Bay covering the mid. I really want to see Gemini try to find the value out of this. You'd see the push Mission is doing on the bot. A big wave of minions here. PSG just so much faster to the punch. They're having a hard time getting the edge, but Kai Wing looks like they are going to be able to cut off the movement, so Bay is going to be the only one here able to defend. And you have to think this tower is going down on this push if Mission wants it. We're going to take a look at the replay again up top. Rest, really good positioning on Hanabi. No flash. Gemini burns his. Just secures the kill. Probably wasn't necessary, but it was stylish.
More than enough damage to burst people out in that situation. Unified will expend his ultimate to trade for Koala's ult. So, you know, pretty, I would say, worthwhile trade for the side of PSG because it is, of course, Philios, and if you don't have the correct gun setup, namely Gravitum, the Moonlight Vigil is really just a big damage ultimate rather than utility focused.
Right. Oh, definitely key to use that one there when you can get the chance. Now, with the outer tower just a smidge from being knocked over, CFO do have a chance to really open up a lot more map control as the game starts to shift towards Baron in the next couple of minutes. The next Cloud Dragon will spawn, so they've got a bit of a swing. The question is, what can they do with it?
Yeah, the next dragon will be key for the side of the CFO. I don't know if Shun will be able to hit that Phantom Dancer in time. 2.5 minutes to go, but for Unified, he's going to be able to complete that Bloodthirster next. That should give him a little bit more sustainability in these fights, and it's important, like, PSG don't have to do a whole lot to be able to win these fights because it's about denying that first reset, and as long as you build a little bit of armor or defensive build path wise, I think they're really set up for success. But at the very least, CFO do have gold advantage coming into this next fight, and Rest, while it is getting collapsed upon, he knows what's going on, so he will be able to get out scot-free.
Ooh, Gemini going to try and chase down Unified. Does throw down the end of the line, but the rest of the cavalry's arrived. Gemini's a little bit in trouble. Yeah, Shun's going to have to throw out the Flame Chompers, so they do manage to get that mid tower. It was already pretty much dead anyways. And they've got an inside track to rotate down river, but no dragon just yet, so it's not going to do them a whole lot of good. I do think that CFO's... the answer they seem to have found here, Nightstar, to having a hard time with the 5v5 and the reset denial is to just not take the 5v5. They're just trying to be in 3 lanes at once with the 1-3-1.
Yeah, and I mean, at the same time, we haven't seen them cleanly play it out with this style yet. So it is a little bit refreshing to see them being able to adapt a bit. And at the very least, it does seem like they've learned from, I would assume, their VOD review of last night and how poorly that went, and that they reevaluated and said, you know what? Let's play it this way, because we know PSG, they're a very well-coordinated team. Our coordination, not quite there yet. How can we come up with a plan to deal with that sort of approach? And I think this approach makes a lot of sense right now. Interestingly enough, Hanabi went for the Hull Breaker on very surprising champion. So Gangplank taking the Hull Breaker, not the...
You know, I've watched this item be built on so many champions, Nightstar. I've been watching LCS as well, and they just think it's great on anything. So who knows? Maybe it is the universal answer to life, the universe in top lane. It's Hull Breaker.
It is right now on this current patch. Won't be the answer on 12.5, but currently PSG occupying mid lane. And I think PSG are just going to try and threaten this Baron in exchange for Cloud Dragon. So CFO, they claim the Cloud, but PSG, more importantly, avoid the big Wombo fight potential at this next breakpoint. So once more, we're going to wait for, I think, the next Dragon Pyre.
Yeah, we're going to be in a bit of a waiting game. But, I mean, I like that CFO are the ones that are driving the tempo. Shun is stepping a little far forward. You got to be careful. That was dangerous, but nobody decided to push on that one. It was a really good stiff arm from CFO to deny any chance of engaging on the Dragon. I think they're okay with not having the big Wombo fight go off. If they still get the objective, they can grab this one on the top. And now Hanabi is getting dove into the Hextech Ultimatum straight to the top. Not much they can do about that. And honestly, really good catch and execution from CFO.
Yeah, Hanabi just out a little bit too far at that moment. You know, against the combination of Camille Galio, a dive's very easy to execute, even with the extra resistances coming in from Hullbreaker, because you are running the Lucidity boots. You're not getting extra durability from your boot selection. So for CFO to get yet another pick there, and this is where things could possibly get tricky, because PSG also, you know, you are going tank rise, so damage profile in that regard is relatively comparable when you look at these mid lanes. You might even say that Galio has more damage at this point, because if you look at the itemization, he's getting more power and oomph from these current items than Bay is from his current items.
I think you're right. It does limit some of PSG's damage potential. If you are able to isolate and shut down Hanabi, that's one less side lane to worry about. And you start to look at who are the other damage threats on PSG. I mean, you're looking at the likes of an Aphelios, but he's still only sitting on Gale Force Bloodthirster at the moment. So he's not quite hit that 200-year status. And meanwhile, you want your Jinx to get to that point too, but you have other damage-dealing threats. You have the Mission Rest combo. You know that if they catch you on the side lane, it's still going to be just as deadly as if you get Wombo comboed on any of the other lanes. Plus Gemini, of course, on the armor pen too. He's starting to move himself a little bit more forward in his build. Now has the Serpent's Fang complete.
Serpent's Fang, very interesting, and of course, reduces the amount of shielding to come out on the side of PSG. That's going to help out against Bloodthirster. Also going to help out against the Recon Kit. Also will help out against the Thimblewinter on the Rise. So actually a really intelligent buy here coming in from CFO. And at this point in time, for the side of PSG, this might be an over...
A little bit.
Overdrive.
Yeah, Gemini's here. Let's see how that goes. The quickness comes through. Actually, it's PSG that overstep a little bit here, and Shun playing well around the boundaries. A good collapse. They should be able to walk it out, though, as Juhan had the Crescent Strike active, so a bit of touch and go there. But CFO understanding their limits well, and this is a big improvement even over yesterday, Nightstar.
This is what we want to see from CFO, right? Because this team is just so darn skilled that it is almost inexcusable for them to take as many losses as they have in that second half. And the second round robin, they're looking for their first win against one of the top half teams. It would be very surprising for them to come out with this win, but it would be a much welcomed win for the side of CFO.
And it would be a very surprising one for the league. So far, we have been talking up PSG Talon as an unstoppable juggernaut because that's what they've looked like. Not necessarily because they just outlane all their opposition. They out-rotate, but this time they're the ones getting out-rotated. Mission just able to take down Kaiwing, and in comes Koala to the rescue, but who's rescuing who? Blast Cone popped. Shun covered the escape as the Moonlight Vigil does come through, and into the belly of Tom Kenshi goes. PSG trying to find the answer kill, but meanwhile, look on the side lanes, Nightstar. It's free real estate for Rest.
Yeah, Rest able to get a lot done down towards that bottom lane. And PSG unable to trade for their support. So PSG now put firmly on the back foot because it is now a 5k gold differential. And CFO is just full court press approach. Just push all these lanes really, really hard. And Mission, like, he is really flexing this mid difference at the moment. That Unify tries to get one back, gets the lockdown onto Shun, but Claws there gets the devour, and not only that, it expends 2 flashes there. So Bay won't have his flash, does have a ghost going into this next fight, but more importantly, Unified doesn't have flash himself. So CFO, of course, with this full court press, they have access to the dragon because the waves are just so shoved up mid and bottom. And for PSG, now it's really time for them to flex those brain cells, because that's what they've been really, really good at, even in a couple of these losing positions, namely against J Team, where they were behind last week, that they were still able to find that one big fight to transition into a Baron and a win. Hanabi caught out though.
Yeah, this is going to be the Hextech ultimatum into
Pain
the Galio
train.
drop. It's going to be Kaiwing to the rescue. Oh, flash away. And do they get baited out? Rest is going down here. Flashing back his Mission. That's PSG on the charge. They've got the 2
overstep.
on the overextension. They want more. Juhan into the Crescent Guard. Koala's going to go ahead and swallow up Shun, but I don't know if it's going to do enough here to save the life. Flash is burned across the way into Rune Prison. Gemini goes, and they take him out on the overload. CFO headed for the hills, and I don't believe it. Everybody from PSG wins and lives at the end.
Yeah, and more importantly, they killed Gemini so they can turn straight for this Baron if they want because they have the jungler advantage. That's exactly what they're going to do. And I don't think CFO can do a single thing about it. They don't have the Jinx Rocket, and if you go ahead and face check as the AD carry and supports, it's only going to be a bad time. So PSG, they get a huge capitalization. This is exactly what we were calling for. It doesn't come from them out macroing CFO. It's more like PSG, they don't exactly have a ton of ground to cover to protect their own base. So the rotation's just faster coming in to help out Hanabi.
This is Kaiwing. He absolutely saves the life of Hanabi there, and then the cavalry arrives. PSG are just faster on the map, and before they knew what hit them, CFO were losing numbers left and right, and this is the clutch factor that Gemini, they immediately recognize the smite threat, turn for him, ignore Shun, that's fine. He can't contest, and the shutdown gold lands into the pocket of Bay. A brilliant move by PSG Talon, and they're back on the board at 31 minutes here, looking to push down mid lane.
Yeah, now you've got to deal with a low-range composition against Philios. That's what CFO is starting to turn into, right? Because you have 3 melees and a Graves. While this Graves is going for the lethality version of Graves, which is a lot more effective in this situation because you're just trying to burst out one single target. You're not going to be able to get a whole lot of autos against Gangplank, Rise, and Philios, or at least your autos aren't going to do as much in comparison to what is going to get returned to you. You're just trying to unload as much damage as possible, but it still means you're essentially 4 melees against an Aphelios who is 3-0-3.
Right, and you're starting to see some of the limits of some of those choices, right? The Gallia from Mission got shredded a little bit faster. He did have extra health thanks to the Shadow Flame, but not enough stats in the other direction. So he kind of indexed a bit on trying to get that damage done. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite do it.
Oh, Shun's way out of position.
Oh, boy, yep. Oh, swallowed up by Koala. Will it be enough? Here comes the hero's entrance.
Oh, might be
Kaiwing gets caught and blown up, and now,
punish.
how about turnabout for fair play?
TP
I don't think
behind?
they want any more, but that's going to be a TP for rest. I don't think he wants that one either. A little bit of a misfire.
You can
but
look
they're
to
buying
re-engage
time
though.
for Gemini up top. Once again, if they can keep them busy, keep them from backing, this could be the inhibitor tower.
Stop the board! Stop the
Here
boards!
comes Rest. Sweeps back once again. Hanabi taking a little bit of damage on the Winds of War. They're going to be able to get this tower. And even with the Baron empowered minions, nobody can safely back.
Stop the boards! Juhan's dead!
Into the Hextech Ultimatum he goes, tries to blast cone. Absolutely not. You are denied, my good sir. And that is going to be Inhibitor Tower 1. They wanted to collapse a bit more. Instead, they see that their window may have closed, but they should be in great position to take Seoul.
We've been so critical about CFO and their team fights, and now in this game against PSG, who has had the better team coordination, especially when it comes to team fighting, they just take the complete opposite approach. They just said, all right, we're going to play 1-3-1. We're going to play 1-4. We're even going to play 1-4 with our jungler, of all things. And, man, has it paid off so far? Yes, they did drop that one fight in that mid lane, overextended themselves, gave over that Baron, but they strike right back with punishing an overextension from PSG themselves. So it looks like it's just a punish game of sorts. Which team is going to make that next overextension? And I mean, at some point, you have to look to try and fight, because Dragon Soul is about to come up. It is alive now, and it doesn't look like PSG are interested in contesting, which you're getting slow resistance and you're getting extra move speed. Exactly what CFO have played for this game. It's been rotational gameplay, so this Soul just makes so much more sense for CFO. It makes them harder to catch out, and it makes it easier for them to catch people out. But Shun still playing very far forward, knowing he has the Galio and the backup of Koala's Tom Catch.
I love that this has just become like a full-on engage bait.
Shun's
Jinx.
the bait.
Yeah, Shun doesn't need to be the carry. You know why? Because Mission's the carry. Look at the items he's building. This dude's going for a Void Staff, man.
Oh my god. This man is so large and in charge. It is ridiculous.
Mission big man on campus.
I mean, he hasn't been CS gapping Bay anymore, but that's mostly because you've kind of capped out on what Galio is going to do anyways. You could say the same about the Rise, but both of these champions, it's really just not about the farm game and getting that additional item anymore, because the item isn't going to change a whole lot of what these champs are going to do in fights. It's about positioning with these more global-esque champions, and Bay is another tantalizing bait.
Yep, once again, a little overextension, but swallowed up by Koala. We are going to bring Rest back into this one. I didn't think they wanted to take the 5v5. It looked like there was a lot of vision established in that side of the jungle by CFO as they were trying to set up a push. And once again, Rest goes right back to the top. But look at this. PSG, they want to collapse on this tower, should be able to get it. Kaiwing gets a little bit chipped down, but not enough to back away. You see Hanabi, he's going to be leaving. The light vigil comes down, Shun takes a lot of damage, got to go back to base. Meanwhile, Kaiwing and crew are pushing on this tower. I don't know if they can out-trade this one. This is going to be the first inhibitor for PSG.
This is a wild base race, and PSG are the ones that come out on top. They have that mid-control, but now the collapse, possibly, but could it be an overextension?
They needed to commit to it, but Gemini and Koala got a little bit cold feet on that one, and it does end up resulting in PSG taking the inhib, not losing anything themselves.
Now they're going to rotate over for the Baron. If you look at the vision in this area, it's pretty much firmly in the side of PSG's control.
Gemini goes into the stasis. Do they have enough to turn the fight before he goes down? I don't think so. Teleport coming a little bit too late as the Rail Dwarf comes in. Rest tries to get the tax sweep, lands on 3, but it's going to be enough. Here comes the Hero's entrance dropping on. Hanabi wins of war, will take him down. But can they turn the fight into 4v4? In goes the Camille, rooted down into stasis. So many Sonya's popping. And here comes the Galio mission once again. Shun's still alive in this one, but it's going to be enough. Bay, Kaiwing getting chunked. They can do it. Unified still on the board, though, but they've got to turn around. Out of the stasis she goes! Can Unified 1v2? Oh, it's gonna end!
Oh, but now there's a clear path for Shun to just try and run bot lane, shove that wave in, possibly look to push that wave a little bit further, knowing where Unified is, and for Unified, he's just gonna path up. I thought he might go ahead, take that Scuttle Crab, but... Boy. Man, oh man, Pyra, what a game we are having here. Gemini face checks the bush. He immediately stopwatches to buy as much time as possible. Really creative use of the stopwatch, and this is a slight overextension coming from PSG, but at the same time, you don't expect that kind of damage from the hero's entrance. This is full damage. The Galio coming in here, and he is doing so much work, and a clutch Devour coming in from Koala there to keep his AD carry alive means they have just enough damage, and now CFO have themselves a Baron buff.
They managed to turn it, and they are working this map right now. Look at the hand. PSG Talon, their first loss since the opening game of the split. What an incredible performance, and they've managed to just bait and switch on their errors. I mean, let's be honest, Gemini, he face checks, he gets caught, he uses his stopwatch perfectly to buy the team time. PSG overextend, it turns into a CFO fight. What an incredible micro performance from them, and they just have such an unintuitive composition. As you said yourself, you're looking at this comp, you don't expect the Galio to be the main damage dealer, but there it is.
Yeah, the Galio Jinx combination doing a whole lot of work in that last fight, and so far they've played around their win conditions pretty well. Now it's just a matter of, can they find that killer blow? They've really lacked that killer instinct to just end these games outright from the side of CFO. They've really relied upon mistakes coming in from the flip side and then fully capitalizing with their mechanical ability. We'll see if that happens here, or if they're able to really effectively utilize this Baron buff. But because of the wave positions on the side, they're forced into just this fight.
And they're going to Gemini. He's the one pushing forward and into the next cycle ultimatum, looking for Unified. That's going to pop his GA. But will they have enough on the dive on the back? It's going to be enough to take down Juwan under the top. They've got it. Now Kaiwing, he's got nowhere to go. And Shun is running wild with Mission keeping them on the top of all things. Hanabi zone completely out. And I think that's going to be it. CTBC Flying Oyster are flying high.
Oh my lord, it looked like CFO, they were about to just go straight into the sink during the second round robin, and they take a win against PSG Talon.
Not something I expected to be saying at the start of the day, and smiles on the faces, huge relief. And I think PSG, they're just a little stuck.